Pause for a moment and ask yourself, if I could train my mind the way I train my body, how different would my life be? Have you ever noticed there are people who aren't necessarily smarter, who didn't have a better starting point, and yet they keep winning? Because they have something others often forget: a winning mindset. They don't just work. They think like winners. They respond like winners. And they live each day as if they've already decided to win. What about you? When you wake up each morning, are you running your mind in a way that moves you forward? Or are you letting it run on autopilot, stuck in habits, reactions, worries, and old loops? I'm not here to talk about overnight success hacks. I'm here to invite you to look at the most powerful thing you have and the one thing you may be losing day by day: your mind. Because success doesn't begin with what you do. It begins with how you think. And those who think right naturally move right. There's one thing all winners have in common, no matter what field they're in. They train their mind before they take action, because they understand. Without the right mindset, even the best strategy will collapse. Without inner strength, even the greatest opportunity will slip away. So what does a winning mindset include? 1. Positive mental attitude, PMA. This is the foundation. People with PMA don't deny difficulties, but they don't let themselves drown in them either. They look for solutions instead of complaining. They focus on what can be done rather than obsessing over what's missing. 2. Deep focus. They don't try to do 10 things at once. They choose one thing and go all in. No distractions. No getting pulled away by the noise. 3. Emotional control. Failure doesn't break them. Success doesn't inflate them. They master their emotions. They don't let emotions master them. 4. Mental toughness. The game is long, very long, and the winner isn't always the fastest. It's the one who's steady enough, strong enough, resilient enough, not to quit halfway. You don't need special genes to win. You just need to start training your mind like an athlete trains their muscles. Every day, even just a little, but consistently. Someone once asked me, "I'm thinking positively so. Why isn't anything changing?" And I replied, "Because you're thinking, but you're not believing. You might be believing, but you're not acting. You might be acting, but without consistency." Let's break it down. Think, mindset. You set an intention. You have a dream. You know what you want. That's the first step, but it's not the whole journey. Believe, faith. You need to believe in what you think. Not in the sense of "I hope," but in the sense of "I know this can become real if I fully commit." Act, action. You start taking steps. You don't wait for perfection. You don't wait to be completely ready. You move even if you're still scared, even if you're not yet skilled. Consistency, discipline. This is where 95% of people give up, because they think a short burst of effort should be enough. But success doesn't come to those who act when they feel like it. It comes to those who act even when there's no result yet. When think, believe, act, and consistency all line up on the same path, you'll begin to notice opportunities start to appear. Results arrive slowly, but steadily. And what once felt like a distant dream becomes something real, something that's getting closer step by step. You don't need to rush. You just need the right direction and the commitment not to stop. You can't control the world out there, but you can absolutely control how you respond. And that is the difference between those who rise and those who are buried by life. An untrained mind reacts on impulse. Faced with difficulty, it gives up. Faced with negativity, it absorbs it. Faced with failure, it quits. But a trained mind chooses its thoughts. It sees the lesson in failure. It knows when to stay silent and when to act. It doesn't let temporary emotions destroy long-term vision. So, how do you train your mind? 1. Recognize old loops. Every time a negative emotion arises, instead of reacting immediately, pause and ask, how many times have I reacted this way before? What did it bring me? Do I want to stay in that loop? 2. Change the question, change the emotion. The mind works based on the questions you give it. If you ask, why am I such a failure? It will find all the reasons to prove it. But if you ask, what can I learn here? How can I move forward from this? Then your mind will search for ways to lift you up. 3. Repeat mindfulness daily. This is a habit, just like brushing your teeth. You don't meditate or journal only when things go wrong. You do it as mental maintenance. Your mind wasn't born strong. It is trained one thought at a time, one situation at a time. Every time you choose awareness over reaction. Napoleon Hill once said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And Neville took it even further. Feeling is the key to turning imagination into reality. You don't have to wait for results to feel belief. You need to feel the result from within, even if nothing has changed on the outside. This isn't wishful thinking. This is visualization, vivid imagining with real emotion. And here's the difference. Wishful thinking says, I wish I could. True visualization says, I am living as if it's already here. Try this each morning. Visualize that you've already succeeded. Visualize having the income you desire. Visualize yourself standing in the life you long for. A meaningful career, a free and fulfilling lifestyle. Then ask yourself, if this were already real, how would I feel? How would I act? How would I walk through today? You don't create reality through action alone. You create it through the frequency you live in. And emotion is that frequency. You may not be wealthy right now. You may not be more skilled than others. You may have nothing in your hands. But if you have this one thing, you already possess the fertile ground where everything else can grow. Positive mental attitude. PMA. Napoleon Hill called PMA the key to turning failure into opportunity. Why? Because someone with PMA doesn't pretend everything is perfect. They clearly see the problem, but they choose a perspective that keeps them from becoming paralyzed. Someone without PMA, when they fail, says, maybe this just isn't meant for me. I'm not good enough. I'll never be able to do this. But someone with PMA, when they fail, says, what can I learn from this? I'll try a different way. This doesn't define who I am. Your attitude is like a pair of colored glasses you wear every day. If you're unaware of them, you might think the world is gray, when in fact, you're just looking through fogged lenses. Change the glasses. Change the story you tell yourself every day, because that story is what will lead you up or down. You can't control life, but you can always choose the attitude with which you walk through it. And that is a power no one can take away from you. Have you ever asked yourself, why, even after trying so hard, do I still hit a ceiling? It's not because you're not capable. It's not because opportunity hasn't shown up. It's because there's an invisible wall in your mind, called a limiting belief. These beliefs weren't born with you. They came from things you heard too often as a child, moments of failure that made you label yourself, or environments that conditioned you to believe, this is as far as I can go. You might be carrying thoughts like, I'm not good at speaking. I'm not leadership material. I'm bad with numbers. No one in my family is wealthy, I won't be either. But here's the truth. These aren't facts. They're just mental programs you unconsciously downloaded and have been letting run on autopilot. So how do you break free? 1. Identify the belief. Write it down. What do you believe is limiting you? Who planted that belief? Is it still true? 2. Take one small action in the opposite direction. If you believe, I'm not a good speaker, try recording yourself speaking for 1 minute each day. You're not trying to convince anyone. You're just challenging the belief. 3. Repeat the new experience. Each time you do something that goes against the old belief, you're updating your brain's operating system. Over time, the new belief becomes the new default. You weren't born to live inside the limits someone else placed on you. You have the right to choose again. And even if it's late, it's not too late. As long as you're awake enough to see it and brave enough to walk out, no one builds inner strength overnight. Just like no one gets six-pack abs after a single workout. Mental strength is the same. It needs consistent training. And you can start with just a few simple daily rituals. 1. Morning affirmations. Begin with intention. Before picking up your phone, spend 3 minutes telling yourself, I choose how I respond today. I stay committed to my goals. I'm growing every single day. Say it with conviction, as if you're giving direct orders to your mind. 2. Write down your goals plus desired emotions. Each morning or evening, write down your top goal for the next 7 days. The emotion you choose to live in today. For example, peace, focus, initiative. You're training your mind to say, I don't live by random moods. I choose what I move toward. 3. 3-minute mind reset. At some point during your day, place your hand on your chest and take 3 deep breaths. Don't do anything else, just breathe. Even 3 minutes is enough to reset your energy, to bring you back to a state of clarity, rather than being pulled by stress. You don't need to do 100 things. You just need to repeat 3 simple things every day. Because the mind is programmed through repetition, not through occasional bursts of motivation. Let me tell you a story about someone who once did manual labor, earned low wages, had no degree, but within 3 years, built a small business and started living a life of freedom and stability, not because they picked up a bunch of new skills, not because they had someone powerful behind them. No lottery wins, no sudden luck. They simply did one thing. They retrained their mindset. On the first day, that person wrote a question on paper. If I no longer believed I was inadequate, how would I live? That question made them pause, and then it started to shift how they thought. From, I'm just an employee to, I'm learning how to become self-reliant. From, I'm not talented to, I haven't practiced long enough. From, I probably can't do this to, I'll try. At least I'll learn something. They didn't change their life in a week, but 6 months later, they spoke differently. A year later, they opened their first small shop. 3 years later, they had time, freedom, and began teaching others what they had learned. What changed their life wasn't money. It was a new belief and a mind no longer holding itself back. And if they could do it, so can you. Start from within. Something interesting happens when you truly shift your mindset. You don't just change your results, you change your entire direction. At first, you might think, I need to choose a niche that's stable and easy to make money from. But as your mindset grows into abundance, you start to ask, which niche allows me to live in alignment with who I really am? Who do I truly want to serve, not because it's easy, but because I deeply connect with them? The old mindset chooses a niche out of fear. The new mindset chooses a niche out of resonance. The same goes for your blueprint, the design of your life. You might have once believed, I need to buy a house, start a family, and have a stable income as soon as possible. But as your thinking evolves, you begin to redesign your blueprint on your own terms. How do I want to feel every morning when I wake up? Am I designing my life or just following someone else's script? You'll naturally start adjusting your work, relationships, and environment because now you're living from inner clarity, not from societal defaults. Success isn't just about having more. Success is living in alignment with your true design. And that always begins with a new mindset. You don't need to change the whole world today. You just need to start shifting something within yourself. A little bit each day. One thought, one action, one more conscious choice. Your mind is where every game begins. And often, it's also the place you neglect the most. But once you learn to train it, everything else begins to move. You don't need to become someone else to succeed. You just need to become a clearer, more intentional, and more consistent version of yourself. If this video resonates with you, leave a comment below. What mindset are you choosing to begin with today? I read them all. And I truly want to walk this journey with you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because there's so much more ahead to help you not just live well, but to live in alignment with the deeper design within you.